Hey everyone, tonight we're going to embark on a very special journey, not to the grand, well-trodden paths of the Giza pyramids, but to a more intimate, perhaps even more poignant discovery, the lost tomb of an ancient Egyptian priestess. Imagine, if you will, the vast, silent expanse of the Western Desert. Just as the sun begins its slow, fiery descent, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, the air is cool now, a stark contrast to the relentless heat of the day. It carries that unmistakable scent of ancient dust, dry earth, and a hint of something indescribably old. You're standing there, part of a small, dedicated team, trowel in hand, meticulously sifting through millennia of wind-blown sand. It's a slow, almost meditative process, far from the dramatic booby-trapped tombs you see in the movies. Trust me, if you tried to pull one of those Indiana Jones moves in a real archaeological dig, you'd probably just end up buried under a very heavy, very angry pile of bureaucratic paperwork, not to mention risking the invaluable historical context of the site. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you really like what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from tonight. It's 7:58 p.m. here in Tuy Quang, Vietnam, a perfectly peaceful time for ancient mysteries. I'll turn off the lights, maybe turn on the fan for some soothing noise, and let's get into the story tonight. Our tale of discovery often begins with something remarkably subtle, what I like to call the desert's gentle hint. It's rarely a giant flashing neon sign pointing to tomb here, but rather a whisper from the landscape itself. Perhaps it has a slight elevation in the ground that doesn't quite fit the natural undulations of the dunes, suggesting a buried mound. Or maybe after a rare desert rainstorm, a few unusual pottery shards, older than anything found nearby, wash up to the surface, hinting at a hidden past. For ancient Egyptians, their chosen burial sites in the arid desert were deliberate. The dry, stable environment was key to preserving bodies for the afterlife, making the very ground a kind of silent archivist. Think of it like trying to spot a perfectly camouflaged chameleon on a branch. You have to train your eye to see the tiny, almost imperceptible details that give it away. There's a famous archaeological anecdote about a team spending weeks digging in one spot, only to realize the clue they were following was actually just a discarded soda can from a previous less tidy expedition. Historians still debate the extent to which environmental factors like localized floods or wind patterns have both preserved and revealed ancient sites over millennia, sometimes bringing fleeting glimpses of forgotten places to the surface. With those gentle hints carefully observed and analyzed, the next painstaking phase begins, unearthing the threshold. This is where the true grit of archaeology comes in. Imagine kneeling, hour after hour, under the persistent Egyptian sun, and trust me, that sun doesn't mess around, wielding not a shovel, but a trowel, a brush, sometimes even an artist's paintbrush or a tiny dental pick. You're not digging for treasure. You're peeling back layers of history, centimeter by agonizing centimeter. Each scoop of sand, each gentle brushstroke is done with extreme care, ensuring that no fragile artifact is damaged and that the context where everything lies in relation to everything else is meticulously recorded. This methodical approach is vital, knowing that a certain type of pottery was found above. A particular wall fragment tells a story about the timeline of construction and use. It's like trying to disassemble a very complex, very old Lego set, but instead of instructions, you're creating them as you go, and every piece is extremely brittle. Sometimes, after days of careful excavation, you'll finally hit something solid. A carefully cut stone, the top of a mud brick wall, or even the faint outline of a door. At that moment, when the hard work reveals the very edge of the tomb's entrance, is a quiet thrill, a silent cheer among the team. This process isn't just about discovery. It's about preservation and understanding the full narrative of the site before it's ever fully exposed. Historians still debate the specific methods ancient tomb builders used to disguise and seal entrances. It's how effective they truly were against both early grave robbers and natural erosion. You have to admit those ancient Egyptians were pretty good at making things hard to find, as the final layer of sand is carefully brushed away, exposing the full outline of the entrance. You take your first breath of antiquity. The air that escapes from the newly opened space is different, cooler, damper, carrying a unique earthy scent that only millennia of undisturbed stillness can create. It's the smell of history, of secrets held tight. Imagine shining your powerful LED flashlight into the darkness beyond the threshold. The beam cuts through the gloom, illuminating ancient dust motes dancing in the air like tiny, shimmering galaxies. Your eyes strain, trying to discern shapes, details. Anything in the profound blackness that has enveloped this space for thousands of years. It's an almost spiritual moment, the sensation of stepping across a boundary, from the vibrant present into the silent past. You might even feel a slight pressure in your ears as the air equilibrates. A subtle shift that underscores the fact that you are penetrating a truly sealed environment. This feeling of stepping back in time is incredibly potent, more impactful than any textbook or documentary could convey. It's like finding a perfectly preserved, extremely quiet old movie theater that's been locked up for centuries. You're the first one to crack open the doors and let the light in. Historians still debate the precise atmospheric conditions within sealed tombs, and how these conditions contributed to the exceptional preservation of organic materials like papyrus and linen, often far better than in exposed archaeological sites. It's a miracle, really, that some of these delicate items survived at all, considering the sheer amount of time that has passed. Stepping cautiously into the newly opened space, you find yourself in the Whispers from Offerings chamber. Typically an antechamber or a vestibule just inside the main tomb. This isn't where the mummy rests, but rather a space designed to hold the provisions and necessities for the deceased's journey, sort of eternal pantry for the afterlife. Imagine the soft glow of your lamp revealing rows of clay pots, some still stoppered with ancient mud seals. Perhaps once holding wine or beer for the long voyage across the Duat, you might see the ghostly outlines of wooden boxes, long since succumbed to time and moisture. But their contents, perhaps dried grain or bundles of linen, now just dusty impressions on the floor. Scattered across the ground are often small, delicate figurines of servants, meant to magically come to life and perform labor for the deceased in the afterlife, or tiny figures of deities meant to protect and guide. It's like peeking into an incredibly old, it's a very dusty pantry that hasn't seen a grocery delivery in several millennia. And everything is, well, very expired and likely crunchy. You might even spot a fragment of a funerary cone, a small clay stamp embedded in the wall near the entrance or on the ceiling, identifying the tomb's owner in their title, a kind of ancient business card left for eternity, hoping to connect with the right divine beings. These objects aren't just grave goods, they're direct connections to the daily lives and deeply held beliefs of the ancient Egyptians. Tiny clues left behind to tell a grand story. The careful arrangement of these items, even if disturbed by ancient tomb robbers who, let's be honest, were often the first archaeologists, albeit less ethical ones, and probably left a mess like a teenager after a sleepover, speaks volumes about Egyptian beliefs regarding the needs of the soul in the Duat, their underworld. This chamber serves as a powerful reminder that their understanding of death was not an end, but merely a transition requiring thorough preparation. Historians still debate the specific symbolic meaning of every type of offering, and whether their placement was strictly ritualistic, following precise texts like the Book of the Dead, or sometimes more spontaneous, reflecting personal affection or a unique circumstance of the deceased. Moving deeper into the tomb, past the antechamber, where offerings whispered their ancient tales. The moment you've been anticipating finally arrives, the priestess's eternal slumber. In the main burial chamber, often carved more meticulously and grandly than the outer rooms, rests the focus of our quest. Imagine the soft, almost reverent light of your lamp illuminating a sarcophagus, perhaps made of finely carved stone like granite or limestone. Its surface smoothed by the touch of ancient hands, or a more humble, but no less significant wooden coffin, its painted details still remarkably discernible through the veil of millennial dust. Sometimes, if the outer coffin layers have deteriorated or were previously removed by earlier, less careful explorers, the mummy itself, still encased in its linen wrappings, lies exposed. These wrappings might be plain or meticulously cross-hatched, adorned with painted cartonnage, layers of linen, and plaster molded to fit the body, often painted with a serene, idealized face of the deceased or adorned with images of protective deities. The air in this inner sanctum feels even heavier, more still, as if time itself has paused here. A profound silence that has absorbed countless centuries. To behold a human form preserved across millennia is a truly profound experience. It connects you directly to a life lived in an age almost incomprehensible to us, a tangible bridge across the vast chasm of time, like the sensationalized mummy movies where curses fly and bandages unfurl dramatically. The reality is often one of quiet reverence, a profound respect for the individual, whose eternal sleep you have now gently disturbed. The initial unwrapping, or merely viewing, the mummy often offers the first tangible glimpse into their identity, sometimes revealed by the delicate hieroglyphs on their coffin, which might state their name and titles or the style and symbolism of their adornments. This initial encounter with the priestess in her final resting place provides the very first tangible link to her identity and the complex rituals that prepared her for eternity. You might notice the careful way the hands are crossed over the chest, or the subtle curve of the body beneath the tight bandages, a testament to the ancient embalmer's skill and devotion. This was a canonical historical event for the Egyptians themselves. The careful preparation of the body is paramount for the soul's successful journey. One slightly unsettling but fascinating fact is that the brain was often removed through the nostrils with a hook during mummification. Considered an unimportant organ, unlike the heart, which was left in place as the seat of intelligence and emotion. Historians still debate the precise embalming recipes and techniques used for individuals of varying social status and how these practices evolved across different dynasties, aiming to pinpoint regional variations in the mummification process and the reasoning behind certain seemingly drastic steps. Once the priestess herself is gently acknowledged, and the solemnity of her eternal rest has been absorbed, our attention naturally shifts to the vibrant narratives etched onto the tomb's inner walls. Sacred stories on stone. Imagine the soft but penetrating beam of your headlamp sweeping across murals that, despite millennia of darkness and the passage of empires, retain remarkably vivid colors and intricate details. These aren't just decorative elements or ancient graffiti. They are direct visual accounts of the religious beliefs, the daily devotions, and the intricate rituals that defined her life and, crucially, her intended path through the treacherous afterlife. You might see her depicted standing serenely before a pantheon of gods, perhaps Osiris, Nubis, or Isis, offering incense, receiving blessings, or participating in a purification ritual, her gestures precise and reverent. Hieroglyphic inscriptions, meticulously carved, and then often painted in vibrant blues, reds, and yellows, fill every available space. These glyphs are not merely decorative script. They are prayers, spells, invocations, and sections from funerary texts like the Book of the Dead, all meticulously placed to guide and protect her soul on its perilous journey through the Duat, the underworld. Each symbol, each carefully painted figure, represents a specific prayer, an incantation, or a step in a sacred ceremony that no longer exists in its original vibrant form in the living world. It's like finding the world's oldest, most elaborate comic book, except every panel is a profound prayer, and every character is a powerful deity or a guiding spirit. You might find a depiction of the crucial opening of the mouth ceremony, where priests, using specific implements, symbolically restored the senses of the deceased, allowing them to eat, speak, breathe in the afterlife, a truly vital step to ensure the mummy could participate fully in eternity. Sometimes, if you look closely, you'll even spot a quirky detail, like a bird with a human head, representing the bossel, or a tiny stylized beetle, the scarab, symbolizing rebirth and resurrection, perhaps even pushing a tiny sun disk. These visual narratives offer an unparalleled window into the priestess's understanding of her cosmos, her spiritual responsibilities, and her place within the grand eternal order. This widespread practice of decorating tombs with such scenes is a canonical historical event, demonstrating the deeply ingrained nature of their religious beliefs. Historians still debate the exact choreography and the specific spoken words of these ancient rites, relying on careful interpretations from fragmented texts and the visual cues and artistic representations, often trying to reconcile slight variations across different periods and regions. It's a bit like trying to learn a complicated dance routine just by looking at still photographs. You get the gist, but the true flow and emotion are hard to grasp. Beyond the grand religious scenes and the profound spiritual narratives, A truly intimate connection is forged when you begin examining adornments of a lifetime. Imagine gently brushing away millennia of fine dust from a small, beautifully crafted amulet found near. Her mummified hand, perhaps a scarab beetle symbolizing rebirth and the rising sun, or a protective eye of Horus meant to ward off evil and ensure good health. These are the personal effects, the everyday treasures that shed a unique light on the priestess as an individual beyond her sacred public role. You might discover delicate strands of faience beads, once vibrant blue or green, perhaps even mimicking lapis lazuli or turquoise, now muted by time, but still holding their subtle luster. Or perhaps you'll find tiny, intricately worked gold earrings that, even in the dim light of the tomb, still manage to catch a stray glint. Sometimes, amidst the more formal funerary goods, there's a small, beautifully carved wooden comb, its teeth remarkably intact, or a finely woven basket containing fragments of what might have been dried fruit or small nuts, hinting at moments of simple, personal comfort and daily grooming. It's like finding a carefully curated antique jewelry box in an old, forgotten attic, where every single piece, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, tells a fragment of a story about the person who wore it. These aren't just generic funerary items. They're direct glimpses into her daily existence, her personal style, and perhaps even her individual superstitions or preferred talismans. One quirky fact about ancient Egyptian cosmetics, for instance, is that the dark kohl eyeliner, so iconic in their imagery, wasn't just for fashion. It also had practical antimicrobial properties due to its lead-based compounds, protecting the eyes from harsh sun glare and common infections. Essentially, a very ancient form of SPF and antibiotic, all rolled into one stylish package. So yes, ancient Egyptians were rocking both style and substance, even in their beauty routines. These personal items, when found in situ, often provide invaluable chronological markers for archaeologists, allowing them to precisely date the tomb and the period in which the priestess lived. Historians still debate the extent to which these personal items were genuinely chosen by the deceased during their lifetime for their own enjoyment and use, versus being selected by family members or priests purely for their symbolic or ritualistic value in the afterlife. Was that gold bracelet her favorite, or just deemed appropriate for her eternal journey? The quiet truth, like many things in ancient Egypt, remains delightfully ambiguous. With the priestess's personal effects and the sacred narratives on the walls now absorbed, our journey deepens into contemplating her role in eternity. This priestess, whose tomb we are respectfully exploring, wasn't just a random individual. She held a specific, significant position within the complex religious hierarchy of ancient Egypt. It's a fascinating concept, thinking about how deeply ingrained their belief was that her job didn't just end when she shuffled off this mortal coil, but merely transitioned to a different realm, a celestial bureaucracy where she continued to serve. You might even find a quirky detail in some texts where the deceased are advised to bring spare sandals to the afterlife, just in case their spiritual feet get tired on the journey. Historians still debate the true power and influence held by priestesses, particularly in periods when royal women ascended to unprecedented levels of authority, like Hatshepsut, and whether their spiritual roles sometimes intertwined with political ones, giving them significant sway in matters of state. Was she merely a spiritual functionary, or did her sacred authority grant her a quiet, yet formidable influence within the ancient Egyptian court? It's a question that keeps Egyptologists up at night, pondering the unseen threads of power. Imagine her daily life revolving around the temple, perhaps the grand temple of Amun at Karnak, echoing with hymns and the scent of incense. Or a smaller, more localized cult dedicated to a specific regional deity. Her duties could have ranged from performing purification rites before the cult statue of a god, to overseeing the preparation and presentation of daily offerings, managing temple finances, or even being a sacred musician. Her voice, or the gentle rhythm of her sistrum, echoing through grand halls during ceremonies. This daily functioning of temples was a canonical historical event. It's a very bedrock of Egyptian society, tying together the divine and the mundane. And individuals like our priestess were central to its operation. Their work ensured the flow of offerings to the gods, thus maintaining Mat, the cosmic order, which was believed to be essential for the prosperity of Egypt itself. Her preparation for the afterlife wasn't just about personal salvation. It was about ensuring her continued ability to intercede with the gods, to maintain cosmic order, and perhaps even to spiritually perform her temple duties from beyond the grave. As our journey through the priestess's lost tomb draws to a gentle close, we are left with the profound sensation of lingering echoes of devotion. Imagine the stillness now, the quiet hum of the air circulation system. As you take one last reverent look around the dimly lit chamber, the meticulous care, the exquisite artistry, the sheer human effort poured into preparing this one individual for eternity, speaks volumes about the ancient Egyptian soul and their unwavering belief in an enduring afterlife. This isn't just about a mummy in a tomb. It's about a tangible, deeply personal link to a belief system that shaped an entire civilization for millennia. It's a connection across time, a silent testament to universal human desires for meaning, for continuity, and for a gentle journey into the unknown. The very atmosphere of the tomb seems to hum with a quiet, almost palpable energy, a spiritual resonance that transcends time. Reaching out from the past to touch our present, you might even feel a subtle shift in your own perspective, a softening of your modern edges, as you consider a world where the veil between life and death felt much thinner, where the journey beyond was as real, if not more real, than the everyday. It's a powerful reminder that even individuals whose names might now be lost to the grand annals of history can, through their carefully prepared final resting places, continue to communicate with us, sharing their beliefs, their hopes, and their aspirations for an eternal existence. They truly believed in what they were doing, a devotion so profound that it echoes even now, long after the last priest has departed and the desert winds have swept over their monuments for countless centuries. Their legacy isn't just in the gold and the artifacts, but in the quiet, enduring whisper of their faith. As the last tendrils of our journey recede, and the imagery of the priestess's tomb softly fades from your mind's eye, allow your thoughts to drift, to settle into a deep, comforting calm. The ancient world, in its vastness and its endless mysteries, offers such solace, a quiet counterpoint to our busy lives. Imagine the desert night outside the tomb, vast and silent. The stars like scattered diamonds on black velvet, twinkling above the very sands that cradled these ancient secrets. The priestess, in her eternal slumber, becomes a guardian of that quiet, a timeless presence in the soft darkness. There's a gentle rhythm to these ancient discoveries, a slow, patient unveiling that teaches us not just about history, but about the profound human capacity for hope and belief. Feel yourself sinking deeper into your comfort, letting go of any lingering thoughts or worries. The echoes of devotion, the whispers of forgotten rituals, are not demands on your attention, but soft murmurs. A lullaby from a civilization that understood the deep peace of eternal rest. Allow these gentle currents of history to carry you now into a profound and restful sleep. Her story, though ancient, becomes a part of your quiet night. End of script. Good night.